quick small ones because I want to run through several different things. But the first one I'm going to do, let's see, I'll do this one. We'll do with the water soluble ink. And there's a few things that are like kind of basics for me about sketching. A lot of times the quality of line is so important when you're drawing, especially drawing with ink, because when you put it down, it's there, right? You like can't go back and erase it. So you gotta be really confident to draw with ink. But one of the things I see with a lot of people that don't sketch or don't draw often is when they do sketch something and they're going to draw this done, they kind of do, they get this kind of thing going on. Like they're drawing hair on a dog. This is bad. Like make a line. The line has a starting point and an end. And it doesn't matter if it's squiggles or wiggles. It's your line, this set of fuzz. So I always kind of tell people, you know, lines are they have a start, middle, and an end. And be confident about it. Put the line down. You know, it's ink. It's okay. If you put it in the wrong spot, you can come back. You can go over it. And the other thing is, when you're drawing, if you're trying to draw, one thing when people, I can't draw a straight line. One of the easiest ways to draw a straight line, this is a super hack, is do not use your wrist. Because your wrist is a hinge, right? This is an arc. This is not an arc. So you lock your wrist, put your pen down, lock your wrist, straight across. Pretty darn straight. Now I've been doing this for a long time, so you can, you know, but the difference between that and trying to do it with your wrist, you know. The other thing is when you're trying to draw a straight line, if you intentionally, you probably saw a little bit, if you intentionally wiggle it, it comes out surprisingly straight overall. This again, this is like kind of just, this is the character of like a line drawn by a human, right? Not a computer. This has character. So anyway, so those are kind of some just quick basic things about lines and quality of line. So establish some of the quick proportions of this, of the dome, or of the rotunda piece. So we got kind of that arc. And I am not going to count the columns because I don't really have this. Again, this is a quick sketch. Pieces here in the foreground, and again, you'll still notice that like I'm working pretty fast. I'm not gonna bear down in there and try to draw all of the detail on these column caps and all that stuff. I'm just gonna kind of vignette out this foreground here because there's really not much below it. And start kind of working like the banding of the dome. And then I'm going to find my center point. So of this piece is here. Just go ahead and draw myself a little reference line of the center. And there's this piece, kind of the spring point of the dome. It kind of sets it, and then the dome. They're up. Domes are tricky. Domes are very hard to draw. So it's all about proportion, length to height, width to height. So you know this one is wider than it is tall. So it's this width, so my top point is somewhere around in here, and then you just got to commit to the dome, to the arc. And again, if you get it a little bit in the wrong place, you just kind of come back over it, work it. And there's some of this cap up here at the base of the statue, and then the statue. I'm just going to kind of get close to a shape of a person. And then I'm going to work in some of this little detail here, these little windows.
And generally you just start from the middle? Any rhyme or reason?
It depends on the sketch. I mean, I kind of try to usually work right to left on bigger stuff. Since this one's small, I kind of just started there at the bottom, work my way up. I don't probably do it the same way twice. Honestly.
But you're holding the pen really loose though, right?
Yeah, I hold it really loose again now there's different kinds of sketch. If I'm doing something that's like if I got more time, I'll take a little more care. But for just these kind of quick loose sketches, yeah, I like to hold it out pretty loose and let the lines just kind of I like the looseness. I'm not, again, that's kind of just that's how I'm wired. I'm not drawing buttons on people's shirts and nothing like that. So, yeah, so that's pretty good. I think that's fairly okay, right? Now, so this, like I said, this is the water soluble ink that I've got in this pen. And I'm going to do just a couple of little, so there's this nice shadow. You can see, the light's coming from this side. So this side is very light, and then as it goes this way, it's darker, right? The shade, the shadow of the brown piece. And then there's this great shadow line that falls across underneath the colonnade here on the cylinder behind it. So it kind of works from high to low. And I'm going to kind of just quickly hatch in a little bit of that dark area with just some vertical lines. And then these openings are I'm just gonna commit to the blackness of those. And then this side is a little darker. Okay, I'm gonna leave that like that now. So this is the fun part with these. You guys know these water brushes? These are fun. I use these a lot when I travel because, again, it's great because then I don't have to carry around like a container of water that might leak in my bag or whatever. So these are great for doing quick watercolor stuff, or to do. I really like doing this little ink wash that I'm going to show you. So these they fill up with water. You just kind of give them a little squeeze and get the brush wet. And so what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to come in and I'm going to use this to give some of these tones and shadows on here instead of doing it with the ink. So I'm just going to kind of start here on this left side where it's darker, and you just kind of hit it. You hit the ink, and it just kind of just goes. It just kind of falls. You start kind of picking it up and pull it down the page. Kind of work this side a little darker. This side a little lighter. Because again, it's kind of as the light, so you want it to have that. For it to read as round or curved. Like that. That's like, 5 minutes? That's so bad, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for me.
Well, you saw it a lot, right? It happened.
So Jeff, I have a question.
Lay it on me.
So I've talked to some urban sketchers, and they swear you should not be like
Yeah.
sketching off of photos, but I'm kind of scared to show up on site and then make it look like nothing like what it looks like.
So I actually got banned from the Urban Sketchers Flickr site because I had an argument with Gabby Camperano about that. That's bullshit. If you're drawing, it's good. I don't care if you're drawing from a photograph. I'm sorry, I apologize to these youngsters here. That's baloney. If you're drawing, it's good, right? I don't care if you're drawing from a photograph or your memory or live in print. It doesn't. That whole like, oh, it's gonna be live. That's bull. That's bullcrap. If you're drawing, it's good. You're using your eyes. You're using your brain. You're still translating something that is on this piece of paper onto this piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain is still doing that mental gymnastics of getting that to here, out to here. Now, it is harder in person because this is already a flat two-dimensional thing in the photograph, right? In the real world, it's not. It is three-dimensional round. It's right there. And this is cropped and edited, right? Like I've selected what I'm going to sketch. When you're sitting there, that building is huge, and it's like you're going to sketch the dome. You have to mentally edit all that out. So it's harder to do it in person, for sure. But yeah, that whole deal about, oh, if you're not sketching live, it's not real urban sketching. Nah, bull. Those guys are full of crap. Trust me, I've made hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in my career selling drawings. They're wrong. So that's my
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well,
you can tell them I said so because I've told them that.
Well, it's being videoed, so yeah. I appreciate that because I feel like I need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And so because I was kind of given that ultimatum, I've been hesitating to even start.
Again, I even recommend to people to trace stuff. Get tracing paper, trace stuff. Because again, you're still working on the line. You're working on proportion. You're working on seeing where are the edges? Where's the negative space? Where's the light? Where's the shadow? I mean, you're still, again, you're learning something. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, again, you don't want to trace it or, copy something and pass it off as yours, I guess. But I mean, even if you're tracing it, technically that drawing is still yours.
Especially
right?
if it's your
did it.
photograph.
Right. I mean,
Right.
so that, again,
Absolutely.
it bugs me when people discourage people from doing something because of some, like, code or something.
Well, I appreciate it because it actually was discouraging.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But not all of us are going to go to New York City.
No, exactly.
True.
You can travel all over the world sitting in front of your computer, right? You can go to Rome. I sketched
Right.
this morning. We had our deal, our weekly deal we do at work. We sketch online. It's all from photographs. We sketched Paris and Berlin.
Mhm.
I haven't been either place, but I've sketched a bunch of that stuff. So, yeah. The other thing about sketching out in the field, if you're going to go do it, is I recommend people when they start out work small. Don't take the big 9x12 or
That was
11
gonna be
by
my
14
question,
sketch.
yeah.
Get a little sketch first and work small, man. Start small. You can get bigger later as you go. But for one, that big page is intimidating.
It
Two,
is.
it's like if that page is there, it's like you feel like you have to fill it up.
It's
And like that's a lot of commitment for sitting out somewhere where people are bumping into you and it's hot and it's just, so start small. That's my and work simple. Just do pen. Don't worry about taking the watercolors and everything out there when you're starting out. Just take a pen and a little small sketchbook and go to town.
Is it kind of, proportions, trying to get the proportions of things right on a bigger piece seems, at least it is more difficult for me versus putting it, smaller.
It is, yeah. I mean, and that's again, everything gets a little harder when it's bigger because again, you have to draw more detail. The proportion is harder. Again, just the scale of then if you're going to do shade and shadow, you've got these big areas you have to crochet or hatch or paint or whatever. So again, it just comes with lots of things that make it more challenging. Not bad, but again, starting out, it can be pretty intimidating. So I would say start small, work your way up, get your confidence, and then start. You'll get bigger as you go on. I've gone back and forth all over my career. I started out doing stuff really small. There was a while where I was sketching stuff really big, and then I've kind of come back down to this real small thing. It just, yeah.
Okay, I have another question.
Right.
So, I've done some art with fountain pen inks, and then people are like, well, if you make that art, it's going to disappear because the fountain pen ink is not very color fast.
Yeah.
Even if you're using like Noodler's Black, which I use, or Heart of Darkness, which I love. So, do you seal your paintings? Do you seal anything?
I don't. I probably should. I've never had anybody come back years later to complain about it, and I've had some stuff that I've sketched that I've kept in my house for years that hasn't really ever faded.
Okay.
I don't. It's not anywhere where it's getting exposed to like
Direct sunlight.
I think that Rohrer and Klingner is light fast.
Yeah, it is. It
The
actually-
sketch ink?
Yeah.
Okay.
Light fast.
Okay.
Yes, it's-
Perfect.
and it is specifically designed for you. You gotta be careful with
Yeah.
waterproof ink because not all of it. I mean, you guys know this, but it's not all for fountain pens. India ink, no.
Yep.
Don't put India ink in your fountain pen. It'll be concrete. About 10
Is
minutes.
that one
No.
good for fountain pens? Do you
Yes.
use that one? Okay.
Yes. I use this one a lot for my pit pens because I just
Mm-hmm.
that's just what I don't put that with the Noodlers. And then there's a
Diatramentis,
Documentress, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
as well as platinum
Documentress,
carbon black.
Yeah, those are all good ones also.
Okay.
And now, what about that new Forever ink that Diamine's
I
come
haven't
out
tried
with?
that
I
yet.
haven't tried that one either.
Yeah.
That's all new.
I think if you go and you.
It looks great.
Because it has like dozens of colors.
Yeah.
Fountain pen log. What's that one?
Fountain Pen Network?
Fountain pen network.
Yeah.
They have some people have done the light testing. So if you're ever interested, they've done like 30 days in the sun, 60 days. Someone pulled it out, I think, for a year, and you can then see.
Not the new inks, but
Well, but these would be others if you're
Yeah, yeah.
interested. But usually red is the one that goes away fast.
Yeah.
interesting.
Red, orange.
So does it make sense, especially as beginners, as we start trying to figure out proportions, to kind of maybe do those initial proportion findings in pencil?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then,
I mean,
and then go back over it?
yeah, again, I'm not gonna let you, I just was rampaging on the rules, but I would encourage you to try to not do it in pencil, just because it's a little bit of it gives you a little bit of a crutch. Like if you force yourself to put the ink down, and even if if you put a line in the wrong, okay.
Why'd you
I'll
do
work
that?
with it. I mean, it's like, once it's there, you know, like these lines, I mean, these little construction lines, I can come in here, you know, give myself some kind of, if I was to portion this off, right? Like, I'm just gonna leave those there, let it be part of the sketch. I'm not doing fine art. You know?
Geoff, you just make everything look cool.
No, I'm not doing that. Well,
It's because he smokes cigars and drives a Corvette.
That's
That's
right.
fine.
oh man, right.
Cigar before I came over here.
So that's kind of a quick little, again, that's, you know, just a few minutes, but you can see, and again, it's still a little wet, but you can see, you know, the paper takes it pretty well. I didn't get too heavy with that, but it's not buckling up, and that's the thing with watercolors. You do want to get some decent, you know, 140, 150 pound, you know, paper, or else when you put any water on it, it just, you know, it crinkles and like a straw wrapper. So you want to get some decent paper. So yeah, so there's that and that. Let's see, what else was I going to do? Oh, I forgot my Fude nib. You guys, do you know about the Fude nib fountain pens? Those are great. I've got one. I left it in my office, and I went over there to get it.
Do you want mine?
You have one?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I love that thing. And but I went over to my office to get it, and I remember I forgot my badge, so I couldn't get in the building. The arch here. One thing when you draw out, when you do something like this urban sketching, is you have to do a perspective. We didn't have much perspective in this because it's almost flat on, but this one you can see it's got perspective. And perspective is just where you're seeing two sides of something, and all of these lines in this plane go to a vanishing point. All the lines in this plane go to some vanishing point way over here. And the vanishing point, when you're standing at eye level, the vanishing point is always on your eye level. And if you look at this drawing, or the photograph, if you take one of these people, and assuming that the ground is flat, and you draw a line from one of their heads, horizontal line across, looky magic, everybody's head is on the horizon line. The only way you differentiate how close they are to you is how tall you draw them. So this guy is up close to me, and these are my archetypal, right? I don't draw people. People are just for scale. I don't like people, so this is how I see the world. There's blobs. Right,
So you're not gonna like this. This is glistening glass, which is a sparkly gray color.
I'll use this one.
Okay.
I'll do, yeah. No offense. I appreciate you. So yeah, so you know, here's see, just even that with a line and 7 people, 6 people, whatever. I've got depth, right? This one's close. This one's far away. This one's very far away, right? So and I don't know if these people, I'm not looking at the photograph, these are probably not in the right spot, but I wanted to establish that ground or that horizon line and get some people in here, and then I'm gonna draw my sketch from that. Oh man, am I running out of ink already? You guys might get to see a quick re-ink here. Oh yes, happy. More ink. All right, let's draw an arch here. So I'm gonna kind of start over here. This side look left, and I'm not gonna draw this very big. You're gonna hurry. So that tall. This is the spring point of the arch here at this little line. Again, this line comes all the way across to this column, which is about here proportionally. See, this is, again, I'm going to draw these lines, these are kind of light, but if I get them in the wrong spot, it's okay. Restate it. Cornice. It's got this little hat up here. back side of the arch comes in here, goes down here, there's the base.
How do you get to where you can draw what you see instead of drawing what you know it looks like?
That's yeah. It says I hate to say the same answer I said a minute ago, but it's just practice. You know, that's where again the you having that doing it lots of times, you do start to really look and see what you're seeing and drawing what you see instead of looking at something and going, oh, okay, house. What is house? This is house, right? This is what we all were taught as kids, right? This is a house. You ever seen a house that looks like that? No, probably not. But this is a stereotype. This is like a pictogram, right? Like on your air conditioner in your car. This is a representation of house, but it's not really what the house looks like. So you have to sit. You have to just look and draw and look before seeing out. And when you're drawing and you look up at something and you start drawing, you always have to look back up at the subject because you look and your brain says, "Oh, I know what that looks like." And you start drawing. You're drawing all this in there. You look up and like, ooh, I missed a whole floor or whatever, you know. So you have to kind of keep going back to the reference.
So is that where like those
Subject.
little, not a viewfinder, but the little square box
Yeah,
things, do
yeah.
those really help?
It can kind of help you because again, what it's doing is it's helping you crop. Like again, this photo. I mean, you know, as you know, the context it's like it's three. I mean, your peripheral vision, you see almost 180 degrees, right? And when you're sitting, even looking straight ahead, you see like 160-degree cone of vision. Well, you're going to draw this. So those little viewfinders do kind of help you do that, but you kind of have to keep referring to it, you know, because
Yeah.
you'll forget. Like, how much am I drawing here? You know, so you kind of have to kind of go, continue to go back to it, which is not a bad thing, but they do help. It's, you know, it's like golf. I never discourage anybody from trying a trick or tool. I never used them, but I know people that do, and they work for them, and that's great. Again, I'm like, if you're sketching, that's awesome. I mean, I love sketching. I love talking about sketching. So anything I can do to get people to, you know, be excited about it and to do it. Alright, so this is quickly kind of turn it into something, I guess.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
I know you went to architect school,
Uh-huh.
but did you just, like, what was your childhood like?
Oh. I grew up in the 70s
Were you
and
drawing
80s.
those homes, or like, what were you doing? Drawing like, I don't
Full
know,
disclosure, my dad is an
Frank
architect.
Lloyd Wright
So,
homes?
I grew up watching my dad in the 70s and 80s when architecture was all hand drawn, right? Like he was hunkered over his parallel bar at night in the office at home. And so I fell in love with like the idea of like making things and using your hands as, you know, and so I always liked to sketch. I thought I wanted to be a cartoonist. I loved Mad Magazine. I had a bunch of Mad magazines growing up, and I copied you know, all those guys, Mort Drucker and all of them. I wanted to be a cartoonist. And then, you know, as I got older into like high school and stuff, I kind of realized I probably wasn't really going to be able to make a living doing that. If I did, I was going to have to probably go to you know, California or Florida or somewhere, and I really didn't want to move away from home. I liked Oklahoma. My family's all here. So, you know, it kind of was like, well, I've always wanted to be an architect anyway, and so I just told my dad, I was like, I'm going to OU, I'm going to go to architecture school. And he's like, that's what I figured you were going to do. So
If you've been a cartoonist, you would have to deal with people.
that's right, I would.
That is true.
Some, you know,
And
some,
drawing people.
And
is
making
type
them
things.
mad because you're drawing them the way you see them.
that's right. But yeah, that was kind of, so I mean, I've always drawn. I didn't really start doing it like really seriously until I was in college, and I had a professor when I was in my second year at OU. He made us buy a LAMY Safari fountain pen, and we had to keep a sketchbook. We had to draw something in it every day, and we'd draw anything we wanted, but we had to draw something in it every day and write a little bit of like journaling. And he was very inspiring, and just like one of those, you know, when he was one of those teachers that just sticks out. I still talk to him. We're friends, you know, now. But yeah, I just fell in love with it, and it was like all I could do is, you know, everything I could find and read or copy or emulate. And that was the other thing too, is I emulated his style. Like I loved his drawings, and so I would copy it. And I used to, when I first started, I got really frustrated because mine didn't look like his. Mine looked like mine. And it used to piss me off. And then I realized after several years, I was like, that's fine. That's mine. Mine is mine. His is, I'm never going to be him. Right? I'm never going to draw like him. I may draw like him, but my drawings will not be like his. You know, it's impossible. And so that's, again, there's this personal style that comes out. And you know, at first I fought it because I was like, I want it to look like his. And I'm like, no, this is how I draw, you know? So, all right, so I'm gonna use my big, not my food day. Whose food day?
Mine.
Your food day, yeah. Thank you for loaning it.
Oh,
to
you.
me. I love these things, man. They're great. They're so good. Just, I mean, let's get.
Okay, so why do you like the Fude?
I like the food day because, again, like you can get that line, you can get that line, you can get that, you know, you can get like so many different line thicknesses out of it depending on how you hold it. And so what I was gonna do with this was go back and now do some of my shady shadow with the Fude because it lets me put down such a huge amount of ink. You know, whereas with my fine nib, I'm kind of limited to. I mean, I could get in here and draw all this detail with my fine nib, but I'd be here all day. Ooh, got a little blotchy. See, that's all right. We'll work with that. Just gonna kinda do
I like the Bob Ross happy little accidents.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I broke my rule. I didn't work. I didn't work right to left. And since I'm dipping it, it's a little bit wet, which is alright. It's great shadow in here. Comes down here.
Using the food day like that.
It's a little trickier to do, dipping it.
Okay, when do you know when to stop?
That is a good question too. So you just kind of have to, again, it's real easy to overwork it. So you need somebody to stand there and tell you when to stop.
Is that what your wife is here for?
No. Yeah, I had a professor once that told me that. He's like, it takes two people to make a good drawing, one to do the drawing and someone else to tell you when to stop, which is again, kind of true. But no, it just, again, I hate to keep repeating it, but it just comes from experience. And a lot of times I still, even to this day, I'll like do one and I'm like, man, that is some overworking mess. And you know, just do it again. Just do a second version. I usually like the second version better because I do kind of, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you get that one out of your system, you know, then you kind of know what you're not. I don't want to repeat the same, you know, thing that I didn't like about the first one. So.
I follow Liz Steele, who's
Oh yeah, she's great.
also an
Yeah.
architect out of Australia,
Mm-hmm.
and she does sketches, and she tells you to limit, like you were saying, limit your time.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you can't, you know, you're not always going to have time to sit there for, you know, an hour or whatever to do stuff. So, let me come back with
Now, does the Noodlers or the Rohrer Klingner, are they fairly fast drying or are they really slow?
they're pretty quick. You know, you saw this one I did the watercolor over it. I didn't really let it dry for more than a minute or two. And
Oh, okay.
it bled a little, but they're pretty quick.
Okay.
Like 5 minutes. Now, when I put like where I've got this heavy stuff,
Mhm.
that'll take a little while. You can see it's a little blotchy. That'll take a little while to dry, but